What's up, culture makers? It's Sav here.
And I'm Kaitlyn.
We are so excited to be back with you guys. We're going to talk about some interesting stuff today. Manifesttok.
Yep.
Hashtag Lucky Girl Syndrome. We're talking about some celebrity news.
Yep.
And we always want to come with a challenge and a big question.
Get ready.
Let's get into it. How should Christians be thinking about manifestation?
I think that is a really fantastic question, and we're gonna go there. Like, we're gonna go all the way there.
Let's do it.
But for some context, if you don't know what is happening, what's going on, Lucky Girl Syndrome got a lot of attention over this past week on TikTok. A couple of girls just sitting in their car, eating some noodles. We're discussing the fact that they have adopted this phrase. They just say, everything works out for me. And they reported that their lives have gotten significantly better from just repeating this mantra over and over again.
Okay.
And like you mentioned, Manifesttok, which I didn't know was a thing, but is apparently a thing, jumped on to the traction of this video.
Right.
And they were just like, hey, love that you're doing this. What is happening is called the law of attraction.
All right, tell us about it.
Yes, so it is this idea that positive thoughts bring about positive results, while negative thoughts bring about negative results. It's this idea that thoughts are a form of energy, and like positive energy attracts positive things.
Was that your positive energy right there? You're like, positive energy.
I don't believe in that. Okay. You brought up a really good point when we were talking about this.
I was going to say, so when we were talking about this earlier, it reminded me of this concept, and I had to look up the name, and I'll explain it. So, Baader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Yes.
And if I'm saying that wrong, nobody come for me. I tried my best. So basically what that is let's say you buy a new car and it's a blue Jeep. Okay?
Right.
And you're like, man, this is one of a kind. This color, never seen it before. Then all of a sudden, you see this blue Jeep everywhere.
Right.
Or a yellow car or a Pilot or whatever it is. That's this thought of like, it's not that it's all of a sudden everywhere.
Right.
It's the fact that this thing is now at the forefront of your mind.
Right.
And so now you're seeing that more often because that's what your brain is seeing for. It's more going from the subconscious to the conscious.
Yeah, that's good. I literally had a conversation about this last night with some of my friends, and we were talking about our words of the year. I don't know if you do that, but it
big
almost,
word of the year, gal.
Okay, cool. It almost creates like a confirmation bias like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because a beautiful thing about doing a word of the year is it gives something to direct our attention.
Yeah.
My word of the year last year was hope. And because I focused my mind on that, because I was praying about that continually, because I was looking for reasons to have hope, I started to see them. And that is what we would say would be a like good, healthy, okay way to look at this issue. That when we allow God to like direct our focus towards the things that he wants us to see and like change our perspective and change our mindset, we're actually going to show up in the world looking more like Jesus.
Yeah, and even with that, like there's certain things that kind of separate these two things, right? There's energy and the universe and the things that we have control over. And then this other side of there are things that God has allowed us to have in our life, like hope. My word of the year is gentle. That's a fruit of the Spirit, gentleness. These are things that we can press into and trust God to allow us to grow in our faith, in our hope. It's not about, you know, what I can do about it, because the only part that we have is seeking God for it. Not the universe, not creating these thoughts, you know, and again, we can move something from our subconscious to our conscious, but it's not that we've created it, because God created these things. We're just pressing into it more.
That's so good. And I think the thing that stood out to me while you were talking is the idea that like there's nothing wrong with asking God to direct our thoughts. The problem,
we're supposed to.
The problem comes in when we are like circumventing God to get what we want. Right? when I am praying, when I'm asking, when I am thinking towards things that are in line with his heart and who he is and his will for my life, that's when we're in the sweet spot. But the problem comes in when I'm trying to tap into alternative sources of power to get what I want. And you guys got to be real careful with stuff like that, because there is a very thin line between like
creating idols,
and like trying to manifest something that's just in line with my own desires versus submitting my desires and what actually like the outcomes of situations.
Ooh, she's preaching. Hold on. Woo, woo.
I mean, that was one of the biggest things that I learned about hope last year, Savannah. It was just like, it is so easy for us to get attached to hope in a specific outcome and forget that our hope is not in a good outcome, it's in a good God.
Come on!
Absolutely. That's so true.
Yes.
And God never promised that things were going to be perfect and good. And so these things that we're manifesting, these happy, go-lucky, good energy stuff, that was never promised. What was promised was trials. Also, what was promised was that God was always going to be with us. That he was not only going to stand with us in this fight, in a dark, broken world, but he was also going before us, laying the path for us.
Come on.
And so it's just, it's not about what we create and what we desire. Just like you said, we submit to God.
Yeah, I was reading James 1 in my Devos this morning, and the reminder that sits in there, like the bottom of this section about like taking joy in trials, is this verse that says, every good and perfect thing comes down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who created us and everything that we see, and he doesn't change like the shifting shadows. I think one of the big differentiators that we can tap into when it comes to manifesting is, it changes all the time. Like the energy is negative, now the energy is positive, and it's shifting and changing like the shadows. But the beautiful thing is that when we depend on God, when our hope is in him, even when things aren't going how we want, we can trust that he is consistent. And he is faithful.
Come on.
And every good thing comes from him.
Come on, somebody.
So when you guys are thinking about this, like, you don't have to take everything that we say and just digest it and believe it to be 100% true. We want you guys to think critically about this stuff.
Absolutely.
So we have some questions for you. Question number 1, when you're thinking about manifesting, we would challenge you guys to consider, who are you appealing to? You talked about it. Is it God? Or is it like the universe? Is it some positive alternative energy source? Or are you asking God to line your heart up with his?
So a question to ask yourself to discern, am I following God? Am I being obedient to him? Or am I pursuing these things of the world? One, look at scripture. God has said a lot of things that he desires for us. So are the things that you're hoping for, praying for, seeking in line with that?
That's good.
Or is it in line with money, jewelry, popularity, different things like that God has never promised, and it's not even, to be honest, a priority. It shouldn't be.
Personal success or people coming to Jesus. Whatever that discerning marker is, that's so good. So question number 1, who are you appealing to? Question number 2, are you willing to still trust God when things don't go how you want them to go? Ooh, that is a great way to tell where our hearts are. I'm not saying that disappointment won't happen. But the thing that indicates where our hope is how we recover from those moments. Do they completely debilitate us? Because, man, my faith and my hope was in this thing instead of my faith and my hope was in God. So are we willing to still trust God when things don't go how we want?
These are good questions. Good questions. Come on.
Very last question, Sav, is what kind of prayers did Jesus encourage us to pray? That is a question that I've been thinking about in this context. Do my prayers look like Jesus's? Because as a follower of Jesus, I want my life to follow his example in every way. And when I look at the kind of prayers that Jesus prayed, he prayed stuff like, God, not what I want, but what you want. Yeah. Let that be what happens.
So again, how can you get the answers for all these questions? Because they're really good and really important. And just like Kaitlyn said, we don't want you to just take what we're saying and be like, okay, that's that. Right. We want you to be able to search your heart and seek God about, okay, what does this look like in my life? The main thing you can do is one, Scripture. Yeah. All of this information, all of these answers are in God's Word. Two, ask your small group leader. There's someone in your life, ask a teacher, ask your cousin, ask a friend. There's someone in your life who is pursuing God and loves Jesus. And as I'm saying that, you're probably thinking of them. They're going to be there for you. They're not going to judge you. They want to love you and they want to help you love and live more like Jesus did. So ask questions, ask for accountability.
Yeah. So as you guys are pondering these questions, we're going to talk about a couple of other things.
Yes, we're going to shift a little bit.
Thing number one, celebrities, people all over the place are actually mourning the passing of Elvis Presley's daughter. She passed away at the age of 54.
Whoa, that's so young.
Yeah, she went into cardiac arrest, and unfortunately they were not able to revive her. So when stuff like that happens, I think one of the interesting things that I was reading when I was looking into this was like, why do we mourn the death of people we don't even know?
That is a child of God. Yeah. That is someone's friend. Yeah. That's someone's sister. Yeah. You know, someone's cousin. Yeah. All of those things. And I think about those people in my life and how I would feel if I lost them. And I'm like, there's someone who is so brokenhearted. And God calls us to weep with those who are mourning. Yeah. And that's exactly, I feel like that is innately in our nature because that's how God made us to be, is my heart breaks because I know that there are other people's heart who are breaking. Yeah. There's someone who is no longer with us.
Some of the things that I was reading were bent in the direction of like, we feel like we know them and we have a personal connection to them because so much of their lives are on display for us to see. And I think we've seen significant strides in a willingness of celebrities, people in positions with platforms to be more vulnerable, which I think helps a lot, developing some of that like, man, they go through that too. Maybe I'm not so alone. Yeah. And we would just encourage you guys that the truth is you're not alone. As Sav was saying earlier when we were talking about those questions, there is somebody who is in your circle who wants to be there for you and show up for you. Sometimes all you have to do is open your eyes, stop telling yourself that you're in this alone, and take 15 seconds of boldness to ask for help.
Okay.
15 seconds.
That's good.
That's it.
I feel like 15 seconds. I feel like anyone can do that, you know? Yeah. Just take a deep breath and go.
Yeah. Speaking of 15 seconds of boldness, the last thing that I wanted to talk about today is a research study that has shown that church attendance has basically arrived back at its pre-pandemic levels. Okay. Except for a few demographics. Okay. And one of those demographics is ours. Okay. It is young adults and teenagers. Okay. What do you think is up with that?
My first thought, I'm going to be real with y'all. Yeah. I feel like we get very comfortable. Dare I say complacent? Oh. I know. I was scared to say it. I was scared to say it. Don't come for me. But it's real. We get so used to like, man, let's go back to manifestation. Yeah. What do I want? What works for me, what's best for me, what's positive for me. And we get in those habits and we think that these things of this earth are, you know, going for brunch, which first of all, not knocking brunch because we love a brunch moment. But like, I want to be in bed, I want to sleep in more, I want to do this, I want to do that. I. And we forget that being a part of the body fills us so much more than any of these things.
Come on.
But it does take sacrifice.
Yep.
It does mean maybe setting your alarm a little bit early to be able to make it to service, to be able to make it to worship, maybe even serving at your church. That takes a little bit of a sacrifice to say, I'm going to go to brunch at 11:30 instead of my usual 10 or whatever, you know? Like, it takes those things. And it's not that these things are bad, you know, these things that we get to enjoy on this earth, but it's that we're putting them first.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Right.
So we want to be able to sacrifice a little bit to be able to receive the blessings that God has for us.
Whatever you guys are processing and thinking through, be willing to take those 15 seconds of boldness to get out of your bed on Sunday morning and walk into the church.
Stop snoozing.
Stop it. 15 seconds.
Do it.
Get up, get out, because, hey, we are way better when we're together.
Yeah.
When you're not here, we are missing a vital piece of the church and what the church is supposed to look like. So we want you to hear that you are loved, you are valuable, and we are not the same without you.
Yeah, so good.
Get plugged into your local church because they need you and you need them. So as we wrap up this episode, I just want to go back to those questions that we talked about when it comes to manifesting. And honestly, just processing and thinking critically about the things that we want and that we're going after and how we go about attaining the things that we're going after. So those 3 questions were, who are you appealing to? Are you still willing to trust God when things don't work out how you want them to?
Good question.
And what kind of prayers did Jesus encourage us to pray? I don't know which one of those questions is most challenging to you, but whichever one it is, would encourage you to let that kind of discomfort stir up more thoughts, maybe some journaling, maybe some conversations with some people. Let it stir up more questions, because that's what a really good question does. It doesn't just lead you to a really easy answer. It actually stirs up more questions and investigation in the process. And I think it is in those moments that we learn the most about who God is and who we are.
We're so glad to have been able to be here with you guys this week. As always, like, share, subscribe, and we want to hear from you guys. So drop some questions, anything that maybe you're struggling with or thinking about. We want to be able to talk through it with you guys. So share your questions with us, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.